So we're coming into the end of 2022, and this is our final episode of the year. And as we wrap up our second full season with Raising Real Estate Standards, want to kind of think back and reflect on the past year and things that have happened, and then kind of look forward. Brian, you always say that at the end of the year you like to take care of your 3 R's. It's important that we revisit those. I think we've had an episode on that. But remind us and our audience what is important to you over the next couple of weeks as we end the year and get ready to start the next year.
Yeah, so the biggest thing is rest. That's the first R. And right now we've all kind of gone through a big year. We've gone through a busy year. It's been, I don't even know what the word would be for this year, but it was a different year. Maybe that's the word. Some people had some of their best years ever. A lot of people had some of their best years ever. But as we kind of got to the end of the year, close to the end of the year, you started to see things kind of slow down a little bit. You kind of saw a pause in the market. Wherever you are in the country, everybody kind of saw a pause. So it actually gives you a good time to sit back and take that break and rest that you need at the end of the year. So what are you doing while you're taking this rest? Well, one of the things that I like to do is kind of reflect, like you said, back on the past year. So many times, if you go back and look at what you accomplished over the past year, a lot of times you don't even realize that happened this past year. One of the things, I'll give you an example. One of the things my family does is we take all of our pictures that we took throughout the year.
And that's a lot of pictures.
Yeah,
if
yes.
you know Brian's wife,
Yes.
She takes thousands of photos throughout the year.
Yeah, we have tons of pictures, and if you're an Apple user and you take your pictures on your iPhone, what'll happen is it collects it in your iCloud account. So what we'll do is we'll go back through all the pictures throughout the year, and we'll set it to like some music, and we'll sit down at the end of the year and we'll watch it with our kids. It makes us go back and reflect on all the things that we did. And it's a lot of fun. And one of the biggest things that happens during that time is we all look at each other and go, that was this year? So a lot of times when you are reflecting, you're going to go back and see things and think of things that you did this past year that you've already kind of forgotten about. And what that allows you to do, especially in your business, is understand you accomplished more than you think you did at the end of the year. A lot of times you've accomplished more than you can imagine. It's more than just this, hey, here's this production number, this is what I did. But so many other things happen throughout the year. So take this time to reflect on it.
Absolutely. Brian, it's funny you say that, kind of flip that on its head. I was listening to a colleague of ours who put out a video and talked about when you're making difficult decisions, 3 important words. I think there were 3. I don't know. We'll count them as we go review this. But 3 words to ask are, where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Reflecting on as you're making the decisions, not based on right now, but where things are in a little bit of a distant future. And you do that in reverse. You're looking at where you have come over this past year. And it's funny. I mean, it is hard to get things accomplished day to day. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are so many distractions. There are so many obstacles and life that gets put in front of you that you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, a week-to-week basis. But you stretch that time over a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever it may be. It's amazing when you go back and reflect what you got accomplished in a year or 2 years or 3 years. It's a powerful thing. It's a reminder of just keeping one foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other. And in our last episode when we talked about planning and putting things in place, we set goals, and we set these annual goals a lot of times, and then we put monthly, weekly, and daily activities to try to achieve those goals. And it's important to go back and look at that retrospectively and see what you did last year, to see how much you've accomplished just by doing those little steps, just by keeping moving forward. Even if you didn't do the same steps that you set out for yourself, but you kept moving the ball forward. And that's important. And it's, I look back at what we have been able to accomplish over the last 5 years, and it's mind-boggling when you really look and see all that you've done.
Mm-hmm. So you're kind of, the third R is like re-engage. And as you've focused on this past year, after you've kind of gone through that, we need to focus on what's coming up the next year. And we do that. We focus on re-engaging, business planning, getting back into it, getting back going again, seeing all you've accomplished, knowing you can do more. I do want to bring this up, and this is kind of reflecting back on this past year as well, but a lot of agents that I've spoken with over the last few weeks as we've started doing our business planning is, I'm burned out. I have run ragged. And what can I do next year to not feel like that? And I want to go back and encourage you guys. We did a podcast maybe a month or two ago with Scott Comey. And he had a book called The 12-Week Year by Brian Moran. I believe that's who did that. But fantastic book. And I brought that book to a couple of the agents. And if you really want to go throughout your year and not feel like you're totally burned out, pick up that book, read it, follow it, because it's going to show you how to run hard for a short period of time, run really hard, and then you're going to take this break afterwards. And then you're going to run hard again, and then you're going to take this break. And that's going to allow you to be even more productive than you've been in the past in a shorter period of time.
Absolutely. As we reflect back on this past year, I want to look back and kind of retouch on what our mission is with this podcast, and it goes back into just the name of it, raising real estate standards. Over the past 36 months, this business has been wide open. I mean, there's been so much growth, price appreciation, the number of transactions that have happened. I mean, we've broken records year after year after year, and what has happened over those 36 months is, kind of why we got started, which is because there has been so much business, there's not been enough time focused on bettering ourselves and becoming better at our craft. And so over the last 36 months, not to get negative, but there's been a lot of sloppiness in the real estate world. This is, I'm looking forward for a second. Over the next, 12 months, I anticipate there being, and not just me, we've researched this, and there's data and evidence that are showing this. The price of homes are probably not going to decrease much as an overall looking. Different markets may. But the number of transactions are going to decrease. The number of homes that sell over the next 12 months is going to be less than it was over the previous 12 months. And what does that mean? That means the number of deals that are out there for us real estate agents is going to be less. So what do you anticipate happening? I anticipate less people being in the business at the end of the day. And one quote, Brian Buffini quoted, he thinks that there's going to be 200,000 less active real estate agents in the market at the end of 2023. That's a big number.
Big number.
And it's important as for us to realize that, and I'm sure anybody listening to this doesn't want to be part of that number. If you do, then go be a part of that number. But most folks don't want to be part of that 200,000 that are going to leave the business. So what do we need to do? It's time to up your game. It's time to dig in. It's time to pick up the books. It's time to pick up the 12-week year. It's time to pick up the other various books, dig in and figure out how you can be better. So over the next 3 or 4 weeks as you are resting, feed your mind, feed your heart, feed your soul, read a book, get better so that when you're ready to re-engage for the first of the year, you are doing so in a mindset that is different when you left at the end of the year. It is a refreshed, recharged look at an approach of everything, and do what you can to become better than you were last year, because it's those that are not being professional, those that are less professional, more amateurish, are going to be left behind.
Yeah, I wanna kind of close things up by digging a little bit more into that stat that you mentioned, that Buffini mentioned in his year-end bold predictions. And actually, when he said that, I was like, wow, that is a lot of agents. But I want to see what that really means. So I went on to NAR's website and looked up their membership count, and there's 1.5 million NAR members currently. And when you backed out that number that he mentioned, that was a 12.5% decline in membership. Now, take that and look into what Lawrence Yun spoke about on the event as well. And he basically said, coming out of this year, going into next year, we should have a slower first quarter, maybe second quarter, but third and fourth should pick back up. Right. And at the end of the year, still have a decline of 1%, but only of 1%. Now, take the 12.5% decrease in membership and the 1% decrease in volume sales over the year. And you've actually, if you average that out amongst everybody that's left in the business, you should have an 11.5% increase in your business. Now, if that's not opportunity, I don't know what is.
Absolutely, and that's huge. While maybe not everyone's going to see an 11% increase in their business, there's 11% more opportunities that Uncle Sally and Aunt Jim and Uncle Joe, who just got his license and just has his license to sell one house, they're not in the business anymore because they can't afford the fees because it just doesn't work. So that's an opportunity for you as the professional real estate agent to gobble up more of the pie. The pie is going to get smaller, but if you're good at what you do, the amount of pie that is available to you is going to be larger.
Yeah, the going forward, it's going to be imperative that you do more business. We've got to be focused on that because, in my opinion, and I'm just going to leave this out there, I think the ones that got into this business as another gig, like the gig economy we have right now, I think you're going to see them fall out. It's going to be too expensive to stay in this business long term and only do a couple deals.
Absolutely. And in that same note, I would say, so what are some things that you need that a typical agent needs to do to take advantage of these additional opportunities? I think there's only one place to go, and that is digging deep into your sphere of influence. Your referral-based marketing, getting in contact with the folks that you are in a relationship with or have had communication with. You're going to be able to pull 3, 4, 5 more deals out of that same group of people next year than you were able to this year because there's, again, less people trying to get into their world. There's less agents to be able to participate in that.
Yeah, and I'll even add to that. Another thing that's going to have to change is your mindset. You're going to have a mindset of this is my career. I'm not doing this as a hobby. I'm not doing this to make a couple $1,000 commission because I can sell a house once every 3 months. You're going to have to change your mindset. This is my career. Dig deep, like you said, and invest in yourself and your time into this business.
Absolutely. Guys, as we wrap up 2022 and enter into 2023. From Brian and myself, we want to wish you a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holidays, a Happy New Year. We can't wait to join you again as we start 2023, and we appreciate you guys. This is a fun process doing the podcast, and we enjoy hearing all your comments and hearing from you guys. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for doing this, and we will see you next year.
Yeah, thank you all. Love you all.